On Tuesday, Representative James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, admitted that, I haven't really found a lot of, evidence of Biden's, crime or anything, despite the fact that he said it was, like tracking a bear that had been wounded in the snow. Oh, yeah, no, we just have to follow the trail of Biden crime. Then we can get him. However, apparently that hasn't really turned out, as evidenced with this interview on CNN.
Have you found anything illegal while he was actually in office?
Well, we found a lot that's certainly unethical. We found a lot that should be illegal. The line is blurry as to what is legal and not legal with respect to family influence peddling. I think people in both parties have argued for many years that family members of both Republicans and Democrats, especially family members of presidents, have benefited from our adversaries around the world. I don't think that anyone would dispute the fact that we need to increase the ethics laws and the disclosures laws.
What specifically have you seen in terms of that dynamic happening that you say? And again, was any of this happening, this evidence that you purport to have, happening while Biden was actually in office? Because in this announcement last month, you claimed that at least 3 Biden family members and 2 associates received payments that originated from China, but you said it was 2017. That was after Joe Biden had left office.
It was, but the people that initiated the payments had met with Joe Biden while he was vice president.
And that's okay. So basically, big fat nothing. But I mean, he wasn't president. But you know what? He was vice president, but before he got the payment. And okay, so the funny thing here is, so obviously they're looking at Biden, they're fixated on the laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop specifically, and they're just like they're trying to dredge up anything they could use to point to some sort of criminal activity, and they can't find it. They can't seem to find it. Funny enough, all they would have to do, and look, Comer said, well, yeah, look, I think in both parties, they've argued that, people in both parties have benefited from adversaries, and we really have to look at, doing some stuff about that. Okay, well, you could look at the last administration with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, who made hundreds of millions of dollars while in the White House from their private businesses. I mean, you could start there. And those are pretty obvious cases. Okay. And by the way, if you find any actual evidence that Joe Biden had personally profited while in office from any of these foreign countries through, payments and through things like with, involving Hunter Biden. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, fine. We'll apply the law and go from there. Perfectly fine. Everyone should be subject to the same laws and penalties. No one should be above the law. But that's not what this is about. And again, he hasn't found any of that stuff. And yet somehow refuses to look backwards when it comes to 2 very obvious examples of people in the White House profiting personally from that position. It's ridiculous. But look, again, all this Hunter Biden, Joe Biden stuff, it's a smokescreen. That's all it is. Here's the truth about the American system. A president doesn't have to break the law to do corruption, to make money. Turns out we have this entire system in this country that is already legalized bribery. It's in the form of campaign contributions. Corporations and lobbyists and PACs will give money to a political campaign. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their own hearts. They will get something in return. And we see this again evidence of this on both sides. Look, Trump, for example, said, oh, well, I'm going to allow Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices. And then after speaking with the pharmaceutical industry, was like, oh, never mind. Biden administration also, you know, they know where their bread is buttered. They know who gives them a lot of money in donations. And by the way, pharmaceutical industry bankrolls both sides. And so that's why we got a very, very limited amount of drugs that Medicare could negotiate with when it comes to the pharmaceuticals. So, or the pharmaceutical industry. Did we get a little bit more progress with Biden on that? Sure, but it's only what? 10 drugs over the span of the next few years? That is an influence of corruption, but it's legalized corruption. So the point that I want to go to, and by the way, this legalized corruption, it was legalized back in the 1970s, thanks to a conservative Supreme Court, and went forward all the way to Citizens United, McCutcheon versus FEC. And so the overall point, though, here, corruption is legal in this country. And because it is, you would have to be incredibly dumb or brazen to break the very few campaign finance laws that are left to actually commit a crime. These laws are barely there. And of course, you know who's dumb enough to do it? Republicans, of course. Either that or incredibly brazen. For Trump, dumb and brazen. Both can be true. Both can be true. But now, let me go back to, again, Biden's family receiving money from China in 2017. Well, that would be when he's a regular civilian, when he's not in a political office. So, again, nothing illegal about that. That's just... When you are not in office and you're a former vice president or president, look, after the Clintons left the White House, oh, they got so much money, speaking fees, all this cash. They cash out because that's what happens to everyone when they're a former official. Doesn't break any laws. It sucks, but it doesn't break any laws. And look, another example here that wasn't investigated because it's totally legal was Trump getting tons of money from the Saudis. Actually, there might be an illegal angle in that because of how much the Saudis overpaid for those rentals at Trump Tower. So you could think that's potential money laundering. So no evidence of any of that going on with the Bidens at this point. That said, was there any federal investigations into Trump getting money from the Saudis? Of course not. No, of course not. Look, Comer's response, though, is, okay, yeah, well, he was vice president at the time, and that's when they initiated the payments, but it didn't actually go through until he was out of office. And no laws broken. You have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. So here's the thing. Would I like it if federal officials were banned from lobbying or getting lucrative careers for at least a set amount of time? So, okay, ban lobbying completely. But, allow them to, I guess, get a career 5 years after they leave office. It's not like they're poor when they leave office. And it's not like they can't go and give speeches, do speaking engagements for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? Why can't we also eliminate money in politics altogether? That would be great. If you were on the right and you were actually concerned about this kind of corruption, personal corruption, political corruption, well, then you would be in favor of those measures. That's the best way to get corruption out of our political system. But see, here's the thing. Right-wingers like Comer, and I'm talking about politicians here, conservative politicians, pundits, they don't want that. They don't want, that's not a goal of the right wing. The goal of the right wing, and we've seen this from conservative Supreme Court justices, we've seen this from conservative politicians. They want more private money in politics, and not just more private money, but private dark money. More of it, to flood our entire political system with dark money everywhere. Unaccountable. You don't know where it's coming from, but you know where it's going. Right into their pockets. That's the goal. It's been the entire goal of the far right to strip campaign finance laws and get rid of anybody who would dare enforce them or even report on them. Shh, we don't want to know. We don't want you to know where that money is coming from and to whom it is going. The people who are greenlighting corruption are the very ones that are going out and claiming everyone else is doing corruption. It's the Spider-Man pointing, the three Spider-Mans pointing at each other meme. That's all our, politics, all of our discussion on political corruption has, devolved into. These investigations are political, they're shams, and never will amount to anything.